Welcome to another episode of The Heart of the Matter. Today we have with us Eryca Freemantle, a global beauty industry intelligence and fitness expert. Eryca's team consists of some of the world's best creatives, artists and teachers who have worked with the likes of Naomi Campbell, Christian Dior, YSL, the New York and London Fashion Week. She's also an advisor to the British government on the body image campaign and has also been invited to the House of Commons to speak several times. Eryca has a remarkable story of courage, endurance, whilst going through some of the toughest challenges one can think of. Welcome, Eryca, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure and a privilege having you on our show.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Could you please tell us a little bit about your background?
Wow. As you said, Eryca Freemantle. I used to be a makeup artist. I've been in the industry for over 35 years. I'm also a fitness expert. I'm doing it for the older ladies. I've been doing fitness for over 30 years. So I've combined the two together, my expertise, makeup, knowledge around makeup, the industry, product development, fitness, how the body works, how a woman works. So that's why I'm called the global beauty industry expert.
And is it true that you became a makeup artist by accident?
Literally by accident, because I had an accident.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I was involved in a car accident. Well, I say a car accident, but I was minding my own business. I was in the petrol station putting petrol in my car,
Yes.
and the next thing I knew, I woke up, I was in hospital. But apparently a lady came in, she lost control of her car. I was at the kiosk paying for my petrol. She put her foot on the accelerator as opposed to the brake. She lost control of her car. So her car and the kiosk made me into a human sandwich.
Oh my goodness.
And the kiosk is obviously made of glass, and all the glass shattered. I didn't know that my leg had been broken in 5 places. I just remember seeing stars like you do when you watch cartoons. They see those stars.
Wow.
And I remember everything stopping and everybody just looking. And I remember thinking, what you all looking at me for? This is in the UK, in London. You can hear my British accent. So I went to walk and I put all of my body weight on my left leg, not knowing that my bones were shattered. So as I put my weight on my leg, obviously the bones went past each other and I dropped to the ground and my face landed in a pile of glass. And I was told that my hair fell out there and then. My body went into shock and most of my hair fell out there and then.
Wow. And your scars held you in a prisoner in your home.
Okay, yeah, my scars. Obviously, why I know it's over 250 scars is
Yes.
because they had to take the glass out of my face. The doctors literally used their version of a tweezer to take the glass out my face. Now, I knew nothing about makeup. I was a young woman in her prime. I was in my 20s then, in the 80s, a really long time ago. And, you know, my face was in bandage for 3 months in the hospital. And when they eventually took the bandage off and I saw my face, I honestly wanted to die. I thought if I died, it'd be a lot easier than have to look at this face that everyone all my life at school had told me that I was ugly anyway, because I was extremely bullied at school. I was called Black Attack, I was told I was ugly, and ironically this is by other black girls in the UK, predominantly black girls. I was beaten up every day at school. So when I saw the scars on my face, I said there is no way, absolutely no way that God loved me. There is no way that I could be bullied and to the extreme that I was, and then involved in a car accident and lose all of my hair, my leg almost amputated, 250 scars to my face. You're a young woman in your prime getting ready to go to discos, we used to call it in the days. And when I saw my face, it was awful, absolutely. I didn't think that there was a way out. You don't. You're in shock and the pain and everything. But yeah, I was held literally a prisoner by my scars and my loss of my hair.
How about your experience with mud, I read?
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, so how I became a makeup artist was when I saw the scars on my face and you go past the initial shock. In the UK, back in the days, this is almost 30 years ago, there was no makeup available for black skin, especially dark skin of my complexion. I didn't think of makeup at the time. I just needed help. I needed to, if I could, I would have put a balaclava on my face and just, but I knew that my face needed to heal, it needed to breathe. So my mother, who was about 4 or 5 shades lighter than me, she had a product, I won't say the name because I'm not here to promote them. I put that on my skin and it didn't do anything. Yes. Bearing in mind, I don't know what I'm doing, but I had to do something. And then I remember at school reading about the Egyptians and clay and mud, and so I thought I'd experiment, and I got some mud out of the garden, I got some water and I mixed it. And I was experimenting and playing, and the mud was dark and dirty, you know, and I put that on my face until I created a formula, an actual colour, almost the same colour as my skin. So you know that was a lot of playing around. And and that was my first experience of covering the scars on my face and allowing me to step into the real world. My face looked awful, but it looked better than, you know, all those scars. So yeah, so that was my first experiment with makeup, not knowing that I was going to become a makeup artist. So I then, after about a year, with my still broken leg and my no hair, which was a different challenge, but if we just concentrate on the makeup for a moment, I saw that the clay has some sort of healing properties in there, and I could see that the scars were healing a lot quicker, even though the hospital had given me some steroids to use on my skin, which was bleaching my skin as well, which back in the day we didn't know. Well, I suppose the doctors knew, but we didn't know that was the wrong thing to use. Yeah. So I then said to my parents that I wanted to go to a makeup school. Now, my parents I'm Jamaican, my parents are Jamaican, and I said to my dad, Dad, I'd like to go to a makeup school. If you don't mind me speaking a little bit of patois. My dad said, you, Misawa? In other words, what? And he said, why? And I said, Daddy, I'm struggling with my issues, I said, Dad, I can't walk around looking like this. If I go to a makeup school, because they didn't mean it, but they used to laugh at me. They used to say, oh, there she goes, she's putting on her face again. And literally, it used to crumble because it's clay, it crumbled. So my parents, God bless them, you know, they used all of their savings. They weren't millionaires or anything. They used their savings and they sent me to a makeup school in Holborn, and I was the first black person to ever have gone to this makeup school, and it was really good for the Caucasian makeup artists or potential makeup artists to have, one, a black face to practice on, and two, a scarred black face to work on. And you know, I found that I passed with distinctions. So I found something that I really, really loved by accident to help myself that would then enable me to help others, which is how my career started.
We need to take a quick break.
No problem.
Viewers, we'll be right back.
Watch your favorite Heart of the Matter episodes online at www.theheartofthematter.tv. Also, check out exciting behind-the-scenes photos. Leave your comments and like us on Facebook.
Welcome back to the Heart of the Matter. Let's talk about life as a young woman. You said you had a couple of struggles, a number of struggles that affected you growing up. Can you expand on that?
Wow, yeah, I don't know where to start. My troubles, when I look back at my life, started from the age of 4. Okay. What it was, I didn't know. But I do remember from the age of 4 or 5 going to school and being extremely bullied. I mentioned it earlier, but I'm talking about bullied beyond any normal, if there is normal comprehension. And what I mean by that is that the other children, I mean these are children, would spit in my face, they would slap me in my face, kick me in my stomach, pull me by my hair because I had hair, and I would accept it. And because my survival mechanism was to try to make everybody laugh. I've always been the class clown, because I found that if I made people laugh, they'd beat me up a little bit less. They still beat me up and slap and kick and beat me because it's something that they wanted to do, but it could become a joke, it could become a laugh. So I did that from the age of, from nursery to primary school to secondary school. And why I did that is because the same people from nursery went to secondary school, to primary school to secondary school. So it became a norm. And even those that didn't want to do it, did it because it was, oh, let's beat up Eryca Day every day. And, you know, people ask all the time, why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't you share? I don't know. Well, I do know now, but I didn't know then. So I was a victim. And when you're a victim and when you're put in that position, you allow abuse to happen to you. You don't know that you're a victim. You don't even know it's abuse. You just know that you feel sad. So throughout my whole life, because the same people went from nursery to primary school to secondary school to college, because I didn't go on to further to uni. I just didn't have it in me. It was literally beaten out of me. So I always felt insecure. I always knew I was ugly. That was, you know, without a doubt. I was never going to amount to anything so I didn't make any efforts other than trying to think of new jokes to make everybody else in the class laugh. I never knew how to speak. I was saying to my manager the other day that I was always choked. I always had this tension in my throat, like I'm doing this now, but can you imagine permanent? I didn't know how to speak. So I was always tense, I was always on edge and angry, very angry, but I didn't know it was anger. And it was a normal way of life. If you live in something, it becomes your normal environment. However, when I went home, I pretended that everything was okay. So my parents saw this perfect child. I've got 5 brothers, I'm the only girl. Mummy and daddy who loved and adored me. So I was living this Jekyll and Hyde life, and that alone is very strenuous. Okay, I'm 50 years old and I celebrate being 50. I've nearly not made it on many occasions through all the different things that happened to me. However, I know those things that have happened to me, it's part of God's plan and the journey to enable me to become the woman that I am today. How did I discover? 4 years ago, I had, well, all my life I've been suffering from depression. I didn't know. Yes. And then 4 years ago, I had what they call a nervous breakdown. I didn't know what it was. You don't know what a nervous breakdown is, other than the fact that I was crying a little bit more than normal. But when I was crying, there was no more tears. So that turned into anger, that turned into bitter, that turned into all of these things that I've been carrying all my life. So a friend of mine who's a psychiatrist, and when we hear that word, you know, especially within the black community, it's a word that you run away from. Yeah. He's a man, and he said to me, Eryca, I love you to death, and because I love you, I need you to see, I can't talk to you because we're friends, but there's someone that I need you to see and speak to. He introduced me to this psychiatrist, and I said, I'm not going. There's nothing wrong with me. But in the end, they convinced me because I was feeling really low, really low. So I went and I sat on the couch with him, and I said, absolutely nothing. He asked me, what's your name? I said, you know what my name is? And I sat there and I refused to speak. So he said, we can sit here for another 6 hours, another 6 months, you'll go away and you'll come back, but one day you will talk. After about 6 weeks, because I did go, because my friend Paul paid for them, and I really knew that I needed help, but I didn't know that I needed help.
Yeah, denial.
And and as time went by and we started speaking and speaking, he actually knew what was wrong with me the moment I walked in. Right. I didn't. I remember my uncle, who used to look after me, having sex with me. Because I was so violated and I went into such a shock at the age of 4, it all makes sense now looking back at my life. Why I allowed, from that moment on, everybody else that entered my life to abuse me in one way or another. And I remember, I remember the act, because it wasn't just once, it was between the age of 4 and 6. And I never told anyone, because he told me not to. He said, if you tell anyone, your parents will die. So secrecy became part of my normal life, hence why I never told anyone about the children beating me up and bullying me. So it's a 360-degree cycle. So at 48, which is when I had to, there was 2 ways to do this. It was either talk about it or let it kill me. And I decided I have to talk about it, because I know I'm not alone. I know that it's happened to so many women, but it's happening to young girls now. But I feel I am responsible. At 50, I found my voice and I'm able to talk. Not everybody can.
Yes.
I now know what suppressed me and kept me really sad and really lonely and really depressed. It was one man that affected me for almost 50 years.
So, wow. We need to take a quick break. Viewers, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Heart of the Matter. We're still with Eryca Freemantle. Wow. So could you please tell us, what were the first steps towards healing?
You know, it's been a combination of things, because, as I said, when I actually heard what happened, it was a shock for me. But one of the things that he said to me is, Eryca, now that it's out, it's almost like you've been set free, but not free in the sense that everything's going to be okay tomorrow. This is a long process. But the first thing you have to do is tell your mother and father. I said, pardon? He said, you have to tell. I said, I can't do that. I said, there's no way, my parents are in their 70s, you know, I can deal with this by myself. He said, Eryca, you have been dealing with this by yourself. And the only way that you can set yourself free is to be really free. Your parents have been on this earth a lot longer than you, and however they deal with it, it's their stuff. But you need to be set free. You owe it to little Eryca. So it took me about 2 months of crying and understanding and appreciating and denying, and how am I going to tell my mum, how am I going to word it? So I told one of my brothers. That's another story. My brother went mad because they were always with me and they felt guilty. And I remember it was a Sunday afternoon and my parents were together. We were having our Sunday dinner as usual, and I told everyone to get out the room. And where do you start? I just told them. My mother ended up on the ground, rolling, crying and bawling. My dad sat there in shock for about 15 minutes. And my mum started wailing and praying, and she said, my one daughter, you know, how, why, when, how come? And I said, you know, Mum and Dad, I really can't go into detail right now, but you need to know that I need to tell you. So my dad questioned, which is inevitable, but why now? Why now? Now I understand why you were the way that you were. You were like Jekyll and Hyde, always crying. No one could comfort me, always crying in my pillow, not knowing that my parents heard me every night. So once I told my parents, I actually felt a lot better. But the counsellor said to me, your body is going to some major relapse. So when someone says that to you, you think, oh, you're going to catch a cold or a headache or something like that. Nothing major. What happened to me? I broke my back. People say, how could you break your back? Because of telling your parents and everything coming out. Your body speaks your mind. And my body was like that for 40 odd years. So once I set myself free emotionally to the best place that I could, the specialist told me that I was grinding my teeth from the age of 4 when my body went into lock jaw, and I've been grinding, which wore my jaw, which wore out my neck, which wore out my back. Your back is your support. And my L4 or my L5 gave away, which is bones in the muscle, so in the back. So I now have 2 pins of plate and an axle holding up my back. I've had a hip replacement 6 months ago. All of this in the last 18 months. And this is because one person violated me. And I know the average person would say, someone's sexually abusing you, then at 48 years old, why has it affected you? It's affected me because it's come out. And it's a bit scientific, but I'm here and I've won. And I've set myself free. And yes, I may be successful in a lot of things within the beauty, the fitness industry, and I specialize in fitness for older women because we've got our own issues as we get older. But most of all, I'm winning, and I'm winning for me. I still have my struggles, you know, I still put my lip gloss on, my high heels, and do my thing. But on a whole, this woman, I really like her, and I'm really getting to know her, and that's why myself and the 4-year-old Eryca, we can connect. 4-year-old Eryca's forgiven me for not speaking out, but she's encouraging me to live my life at 50, and boy, am I living. So.
Did you ever forgive your uncle?
You know, once I spoke to my parents, you know, I can say I forgave, but that would be a lie. And I don't believe in telling lies, and I don't believe in secrets anymore. I believe in being honest. But what I've done is let go. They say to forgive, you know, you have to forgive to enable you to move on. In my case, I've let go. So if that's forgiveness, then I've forgiven. The most important person right now is me. Me, myself, and I. I haven't got the time or the energy. He held on to me for, you know, 40 plus years. So if that's forgiveness, then I've forgiven him. But then we found out that he's done it to about 30 other female family members because I've spoken out. So
you set a lot of people free.
I've enabled other people to at least acknowledge that there's nothing wrong with them. Because as black people, we keep too many secrets, and secrets is what kills us. And yeah, I have to die, but at least I've died, or at least when I die, I would have set myself free. And I really understand all the other ailments, all the other illnesses that I had. It's because he was still in charge. But I'm fine now.
Embrace the truth.
Amen.
So what's next for you?
What's next? Well, I think Nigerians are going to get fed up of seeing me. Nigeria's had a lot to do with my healing.
Yes.
I never felt like I belonged in the UK. Never. I was born there. No disrespect to any Jamaicans. I've been to Jamaica many a time, but I also know that I'm a deep-rooted, anchored woman that fights for her survival. And the first time I came to Nigeria, there was a connection. Anyone that knows me will tell you, when I think of Nigeria, I think of her, I call her her or him, but as a person, Nigeria set me free. So whatever Nigeria has to offer me in my expertise, my global knowledge, I'm running with it. We have a strategy, we have a plan, but everything changes in the life of Eryca Freemantle every day. But I'm looking at the older woman. I mean, I can't keep up with 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds. You know, what are 40 plus supposed to do? Roll over and die? Yes. So wherever I can support, whatever I can do, wherever I can use my expertise, I'm a motivational speaker, a fitness coach, a global beauty ambassador. I create makeup for women of color. I work with multinational brands. I mean, what do I do? Wow. What do I do? I just wait for God to say, this is yours.
You wear a lot of hats. How do you find the time to juggle it all?
I've got 48 years of catching up to do. I mean, I built my career. I now realize why I was running at 100 miles an hour is because I was in fear.
Yes.
And I never ever wanted to stop. But now I'm grateful to be able to stop. And when I stop, I'm no longer angry. I'm just happy.
Yes.
You see me, 90% of the time, I'm smiling because I've got so much smiling and laughing to catch up with. So bring it on.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We are so blessed, and we're happy to have you in Nigeria.
I just want to add one thing really quickly. I found God.
Amen.
You know, I was so angry with him, and I really didn't believe that he cared or loved me.
Yes.
But he really, truly does, because I went through what I've been through to enable me to be a case study or a sister to other sisters. So thank you, Lord.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us here today. And thank you for giving victims of abuse the courage to step forward and speak.
I hope so.
Yes.
I hope so. I mean, I'm not looking for sympathy, but I want people to know that I have a lot of empathy.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for watching another episode of The Heart of the Matter. If you are a victim of abuse, don't be afraid to come forward and speak to somebody. There are people out there to help you. See you next week.